Pontiac is no longer with us, but when it comes to the American car brands that once were, few have left such a lasting impact as Pontiac. Even today, many car enthusiasts would choose Pontiac as the brand they'd bring back. Their innovative designs, daring ideas, and constant push for performance and style made them a standout in the automotive world. They created some of the most iconic cars of their era, but what's even more fascinating are the cars Pontiac never got to bring into full production. From V12-powered Firebirds to Corvette Challengers, Pontiac's concept cars are some of the wildest designs ever penned. So, let's dive into 5 of the most daring Pontiac concepts that almost made it to the streets. Number 1. Pontiac Banshee XP833. The Pontiac Banshee XP833, the most talked about Pontiac concept car that never made it to production. The Banshee was another project spearheaded by John DeLorean, who set out to create a 2-seat sports car to slot in below the Corvette. In 1966, the Camaro and Firebird were still new, but they were pony cars, not sports cars. DeLorean saw a gap in the lineup for a lightweight, affordable 2-seater. The Banshee was designed to be just that, featuring fiberglass construction like the Corvette and an inline-6 engine that could produce 215 horsepower. The car was a potential Corvette rival within GM, and that's exactly why it never saw production. The higher-ups feared it would cut into Corvette sales, so they killed the project. The Banshee XP833 remains one of Pontiac's biggest what-ifs and still captures the imagination of car enthusiasts today. Number 2. Pontiac Farrago CF428. Here's one that even hardcore Pontiac fans may not know about. The Pontiac Farrago CF428. This concept car, built in 1969, was the brainchild of designer Paul Farrago and Pontiac legend John DeLorean. DeLorean was coming off the disappointment of having his Pontiac Banshee project shelved, so he wanted to create another bold concept for the brand. Farrago, meanwhile, was trying to make a name for his new coach-building business, so the two teamed up to create the Farrago CF428. The concept was based on a Pontiac Grand Prix and featured a 428 cubic inch V8 engine, making 370 to 390 horsepower depending on the trim. The car's body was a mix of American muscle and Italian flair, resembling a cross between the AMC Javelin and the 1971 Ford Mustang Mach 1, with a touch of European elegance. The CF428 was fully functional and remains in driving condition today, owned and driven by Paul Farrago's nephew. Number 3. Pontiac Stratostar. The Pontiac Stratostar was the epitome of 1950s futuristic design. Built in 1955 and penned by designer Paul Gillen, the Stratostar was all about pushing the boundaries of neo-futuristic styling. It was a 6-passenger coupe with wild features, including roof slots that opened with the doors to give passengers more headroom when getting in and out of the car. The front fenders were massive, giving the car a jet-inspired look, and they even acted as functional intakes. The car also had suspended fog lights below a split front bumper, and a clean rear roll pan for a more streamlined appearance. Under the hood, the Stratostar packed a 287 cubic inch V8 engine producing 235 horsepower, a respectable number for the mid-1950s. It was unveiled at GM's Motorama show in 1955 to a warm reception. Sadly, despite its futuristic design and powerful engine, the Stratostar never saw production. Some of its design elements eventually found their way into other GM cars of the time, but the original concept was crushed. Number 4. Pontiac Firebird Pegasus. Next up, we have the Pontiac Firebird Pegasus, a concept that could have redefined the brand's image in the 1970s. It all started with some design studies for the second-generation Camaro. One of the designers, Jerry Palmer, had the wild idea to combine the body lines of the Camaro with the grille from a 1958 Ferrari Testarossa. Surprisingly, it worked, and it looked amazing. Bill Mitchell, who was still head of design at GM at the time, loved the concept, but felt it was more suited for Pontiac than Chevrolet. So, Pontiac was tasked with bringing the Pegasus to life. By 1971, they had completed the concept, which featured some of the most exotic design cues Pontiac had ever created. The real highlight of the Pegasus was its engine. Pontiac didn't have the budget to create their own V12, but Ferrari stepped in to offer a V12 engine from their 365 GTC/4 model, possibly as a way to compete with Ford after the GT40. With a Ferrari 512 paired with a 5-speed manual transmission and a 4.1 rear gear ratio, the Pegasus was an exotic Firebird in the making. Unfortunately, Pontiac never committed to building the Firebird Pegasus for the masses. Only one was ever made, and it was often driven by Bill Mitchell himself until his death in 1988. Today, the Pegasus remains in working order and is occasionally displayed by the GM Heritage Foundation. Number 5. Pontiac Phantom. Finally, we come to the Pontiac Phantom was a swan song, a final hurrah by General Motors designer Bill Mitchell in 1977, just before his retirement. Mitchell had a legendary career at GM, designing stunning cars like the Tri-5 Chevys and the second-generation Camaro. By the late 70s, however, the automotive world was shifting towards compact, soulless econoboxes, and Mitchell wasn't happy about it. So, with his retirement looming, Mitchell, along with designer Bill Davis, crafted one last masterpiece. Inspired by the sweeping lines of 1930s Bugattis and Duesenbergs, they designed the Pontiac Phantom, a sleek, futuristic version of the Grand Am. This concept car was built in secret in GM's Studio X, a top-secret design facility. Though the Phantom was just a shell with no engine or working components, its design was breathtaking. With its streamlined curves, black color scheme, and menacing presence, it was the perfect blend of elegance and power. Mitchell hoped it would be greenlit for production, but GM executive Howard Carl ordered the concept to be scrapped before it even had a chance to be reviewed. Had the Phantom been produced, it likely would have featured a 400 cubic inch V8 engine from the '77 Can-Am and an automatic transmission. But given the market in the late 70s, it's doubtful it would have sold in large numbers. Still, the Phantom stands as a testament to Bill Mitchell's vision and Pontiac's bold design language. Pontiac may be gone, but their boldness in design, especially with these concept cars, still inspires automotive fans everywhere. These 5 daring Pontiac concepts give us a glimpse into what could have been, a world where Pontiac's ingenuity and bold styling continued to push the boundaries of American car design. If you're fascinated by more stories like these, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more automotive history. What's your favorite Pontiac concept car? Let us know in the comments.